Good morning, everyone. I'm Lydia. We've been reading a part series, which is lessons and just words from Jesus, teaching from Jesus, and he is revealing things, and we're sharing those with you guys because Jesus asked us to. He is revealing secrets and mysteries, and he is bringing everything into line to start the end times. I'm part of the 12 that Jesus is calling together to start the end times and for prophecy and to lead. Also, I believe that Jesus Christ came in the flesh as a man. He suffered and bled and died on the cross, and he rose again on the third day, and he is coming. Okay, so this is part 31 of the parts series that Jesus had Mandy write as a scribe for him. So he blocked her thoughts and just had her type as fast as she could. And he would often go back up and tell her right where to go back and start typing again. And he would, she's not thinking, he is just downloading it into her. And she writes it down the way he gives it to her. And so that's where this parts series that we're on right now, that's where that comes from. And then sometimes we also have live Zoom messages that Jesus tells one of them, mostly Mandy. She is Jesus' main prophet for this time. And he will tell her to hit record on Zoom, if we're on Zoom, and he'll give her a message. And sometimes he has her speaking, sometimes he gets her speaking super fast to where you would know that it's impossible for anybody to say something that's coherent in that speed, you know? So I just want to say that to help you all's faith. And I know that Jesus wants you to use discernment, not just blindly believe and listen to everyone who says something that they're sent by Jesus, because not everybody is. Most people are not. And a lot of even the churches are not led by Jesus. Jesus is not religious. How religious was that? The way he's done everything from the very beginning. How religious does that seem to you? It seems very unorthodox, a lot of things he does. And it was actually the religious people who nailed Jesus to the cross, because they have a certain box within which God can act as if they are God, right? That's ridiculous. Okay, so this is December 30, 2025. God's physical calendar is 5/10. His spiritual calendar is 10/10, and God's true Gregorian calendar is 8/17. And this was previously posted on June 23rd, 2025. So this is a repost. Okay, so when I was creating the very first family, I took the two souls that held the first two spirits from God's creation, and I have put them inside the plasm circle. Okay, before we proceed, I want to say, if you haven't listened to the previous parts, please go back and listen to them, because every part builds on the previous one. So every part I read, it's a progression. So if you haven't listened to the previous ones and you come here, you'll probably kind of be in the dark, because to understand what I'm reading, you'll need to understand what happened previously, or what Jesus said previously, because it's building, right? Okay, I'm going to reread that. So when I was creating the very first family, I took the two souls that held the first two spirits from God's creation, and I have put them inside the plasm circle. Then I have used the two souls and combined them with the first two spirits to put them inside a new spirit line that I was creating to hold the line of Lucifer, which had the fallen line of the duplicate spirit of Lucifer, as well as the true line of Lucifer. And that was my other son in the heavens. And most of you all know who my son is because he is here now in the flesh. And that is my son Angel, who is at Warrior 12. And I have used my son Angel to hold both of those lines inside him for those new creations inside the heavens of the brand new spirits line that I have created in the plasm circle. And Angel is now holding the lines here in the flesh, except that fallen duplicate spirit line inside him is no longer activated, because there is the true devil who has the activation spirit of the fallen duplicate spirit line, holding all of the fallen lines that was created in the second heaven. Angel is just holding both lines as a placeholder for the fallen line, because I'm going to use Angel in the very end to help me destroy evil where it no longer needs the opposite of science through creation any longer. So it says the angel is a placeholder. So that means that there is another one who is truly in that place. And then Angel will come in again in the end. And that is why Angel is holding both lines here in the flesh, because when he transfers into his glorious body, he will have both of those lines that are already inside of him. So now when he changes into his glorious body, they will continue to be inside of him in his current suit that he is holding now with the glorious body, which is under the duplicate that he is currently holding now. And because he hasn't changed yet, he is still waiting on the transfer process to happen, which is about to happen to all of my 12, so they can change into their glorious bodies. And I'm holding the two lines inside Angel, so for when he changes into his glorious body, the two lines that are currently inside him now, who has the placeholder of the fallen line in his current duplicate, now in his current suit. Those two lines, they will continue to be inside him as the duplicate he holds now transfers into his glorious body. Yes, I know, children, it's all supernatural, but you will see every word will come to pass. So now, because everything that is inside him now, that now holds his glorious body, it will all be transferred into his glorious body, where he will still be holding the two lines. And I will need that transformation to happen because he's holding those two lines to sum up the very ending, which is my ending that he's going to help me with, to destroy darkness, where it will no longer need a positive and negative attraction through the laws of physics during creations. So have any of you ever wondered, well, what's going to keep a fall from happening again? Like, what's going to keep something, you know how a third of the angels fell with Lucifer? What's going to keep that from happening again? Well, Lucifer got possessed. He tapped into realm 44, and he got possessed by evil. And he had the choice to have God take away the possession, or he could lead his own will. And he chose to lead his own will and keep the possession. So what God is going to do at the very end is he's going to destroy all of evil. So there won't be a chance of possession anymore. Because evil takes you over. It's a possession. The Holy Spirit, when he comes inside of you, he leads you and he guides you, but you still have your free choice, your free will. And so that's not taken but that darkness that comes inside you and wants to take over your free will. And I know that the devil has tried to, narcissism is the devil, right? So that is the devil's personality. And he has tried to spin that scenario of God being a hard master, or God being this hard father, this unfeeling father who doesn't want you to have free will. Actually, it's the devil who doesn't want you to have free will. God gave us free will because we are made in the image of God, and he has a free will and he exercises it. And he wanted us to have free will so that we could either worship him with our free will or not. We are his children. And so we are made in his image. So we were created with a free will. But the devil has tried to put God's children on the impression that it's him that's good, that's kind, that wants you to have a free will, and that it's God that's hard and mean and wants to take away your free will. So that's typical narcissism, right? That's where that comes from. It's all in line with darkness. It's evil. And it's the personality of the devil. That's where narcissistic traits come from. It's the flesh, it's darkness, it's poison. And so that is all what Jesus is saying. He's going to destroy it so that possessing darkness can no longer come in and torment his children and confuse them and lie to them. Because the truth is what sets you free. Authenticity and living in the truth in all aspects is what sets you free, gives you peace, and brings you into the light. So, and the devil, we know, is a father of lies. It's all in line with darkness. The devil is behind religions. Religions are a facade. They're all indoctrination. They're all they're sugar-coated devil's food, simply put, and it's trash. So religions, it's just one of the ways that the devil has tried to divide and suck people into his sinking sand, like his smogs, right? And then you're held to this standard. If you don't hold to this standard, then you're not as good as, right? There's all these, it has nothing to do with you. It has all to do with Jesus. And if you get trapped in some sort of religion, they're all a play. They're all a play by the devil. They're all put out there to where you even need to think which is the right one. None of them are right. Christianity, the label of Christian, was a curse word put on Christ followers. We are Christ followers. We follow Jesus. So Christian, the word Christian is actually a curse on Christians. So if you label yourself as a Christian, like Jesus was saying, look at the origination of Christian. It's a curse. That was not a label that Jesus put on his people. It is all bound up under the laws, under legalism, and Jesus never, the true Father never gave the 10 Commandments. He gave guidelines. And there's a reason that the book of Enoch was taken out historically from the Bible, because it actually started with the guidelines, and that was the original book that Moses broke in his anger. So he wasn't acting in the true nature of God when he got angry and he broke those, and that's when the false father came to him and gave the commandments. What does Jesus say? He freed us from the curse of the laws. Those were a curse. It came in after the guidelines were broken. The tablet of guidelines was broken by Moses. And so, and that was the God of wrath, the false father, who also can do miracles. What does it say in Revelation? The beast will do lying signs and wonders. How will he deceive? Because he is actually able to do things that are godlike. And God allowed that to happen for this very purpose of luring evil into this realm so that he could destroy it in the end. And so this is a whole journey of prodigal sons returning back to God. That's why the parable of the prodigal son it depicts all of us. All right. Let's go on with Jesus' words. So now that the fallen duplicate spirit of Lucifer is going to be forced to inform the beast that all of the plans have now been changed, now have to be changed here soon. The beast is going to insist another person to step into that role as the devil. And this is why the Antichrist spirit is already here in this world and is going to be revealed here soon, but not in action yet, because Obama, who is going to be the Antichrist, who will have the fallen lines of the duplicate of Lucifer inside him, who holds all of the fallen lines from the second heaven, which is the Antichrist spirit, who will enter inside Obama on my perfect timing. And that is because Obama was chosen because Barack falls like lightning. And that has to do with the stubborn hearts of Pharaoh and Egypt for the end times, and the people who are involved with them, that are in a coalition with them and are aligning their plans to their agenda. They're going to be the end time leaders persecuting all of my people who do not worship the beast inside the great tribulation. Even though after my very first pre-simulated rapture, it may look like we're going into the great tribulation. Even though after my very first pre-simulated rapture, let me reread that. I lost my spot. Even though after my very first pre-simulated rapture, it may look like we're going into the great tribulation, because all of the destruction you will see, because all of the destruction you will see and the increased talk of the pandemics rising fast, with inflation rising fast as well. It may look like it, but I do not want you to worry, because it won't be the real one. It will just be the facade, because my hand is on the clock and I'm going to continue to wake up my people over and over again until I allow the real great tribulation to come on this world. But in the beginning, no matter what you see, just come to me with prayer. If you do not make the first round of blessings, because I will save all of the earthly realms by turning the dial back and showing them all of the supernatural so they can unblock their frequencies. So the great tribulation, the real one, not the facade, it won't happen yet, because that doesn't happen until the very end, after the wedding feast with the Lamb. Because in the very beginning, I'm just foreshadowing the very end, the very ending. But I will not let the ending go all the way to the end, which means they will not open up the final portal. Because right before the last day of the third day of spiritual darkness, before the 10 days of real darkness comes with the EMP blackout all over the world, I will turn the dial back and not let the real darkness fall. The real darkness is the trial that I have promised my people that I would keep them from it and not let them go through the trial, which is the testing that I am allowing to come on this entire world, because I have promised my people I would remove them from it before the trial came on this world. And my word is true, and I will always deliver my promises, because this trial that is coming on this world is the testing that I am allowing, and it will be about pure darkness falling from the evil realms. And this trial, which is mentioned in the Smyrna church, talking about the 10-day trial that is mentioned in Revelation, as well as the tribulation and some of the persecuting that my people will have to go through before the great tribulation, which is mentioned all over my Bible, with testing and trials that they have to go through. And the tribulations and the persecutions, summing up the ending, are especially mentioned in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. And it's also the Smyrna church in Revelation 2:10 that mentions the 10-day trial. But you're going to see my Heavenly Bible. To see my Heavenly Bible, there's more of a detailed explanation about the 10 days of darkness. Because I know there are a lot of people saying 3 days of darkness, but I am here to tell you the 3 days of darkness is just a 3-day warning of that final portal to be opened. It is not the real darkness that is falling, the physical darkness. The real darkness is the 10-day trial. It's going to be like backwards Exodus, because the people and the bride will not be here, and that is also when you see plagues happening. But it won't be like the plagues in Egypt. It'll be all new plagues, and that is because the pandemics are rising fast. And as soon as the pre-simulated rapture happens, you're going to hear lots of talk of it, and you're even going to see pre-shutdowns before I turn the dial back. It will be scary for some who is not following along. For someone who is not following along, because war will also be breaking out and nations rising against nations. But this is what I mean when I say the end has not come yet. And that is because the ending is my ending, because I am a God of love and a God of grace, and I do not wish wrath to come on my people. I have only allowed wrath to destroy evil in the end. But you're all going to see truly how loving of a God I am and my true character, because everything you're going to witness, if you do not make the first round of blessings, is what it's going to be like, a small fraction of what you will see in the Great Tribulation if you reject my Son's finished works on the cross. So I, Yeshua HaMashiach, who comes in the flesh, bled and died on the cross, and rose on the third day, is showing you how it is going to be. I need you to recognize this. This is why I do a pre-show of everything, to keep warning my people over and over again, because I love them. Everything is finished on the cross, past, present, and future sins. And it is once saved, always saved, because once Jesus gives you his heart of flesh, his new heart that he prophesied back, that it talks about in the Old Testament, where he said, I will give them a new heart of flesh, and my law, my guidelines will be written on your heart. That's Jesus' heart. That is him inside of you. That's why when God looks at you, once you have received the free gift of salvation, he puts his heart of flesh in you, and then God sees his Son, not you. Therefore, you're no longer a sinner. And Jesus said, do you think I would take my heart of flesh, my free gift, back? Would I take it back away and give you your stony heart again? No, he wouldn't. So if you fell away, it's because you never actually received his heart of flesh. You never truly believed by faith. You never were under grace. You never made that choice. It's your choice to make. You will see, that's why, one more thing. That's why it's the unpardonable sin. Because if you never come to him, then you're going to keep plowing your way right in to the wrath that God allows coming from the devil, which is tribulation. Yep, that's the devil. He's a God of wrath, and God will allow him to have free reign on the world, and he's going to wage his war because he hates us who are made in God's image. So yes, he will try to destroy the world and God's creation and everything in it and everything to do with it, because he was angry that he couldn't be God, and he fell from heaven. So he is a God of wrath. The God of wrath. The devil, the false father, the beast, darkness. The devil has the spirit of the beast in him. It's a duplicated spirit, right? He has the possession in him, the spirit of the beast. And so he works in tandem with the beast, which is darkness. Okay, you will see all of this come to pass, and I need you to know, even if you do not make the first round of blessings, I have not forgotten about you, and I will come back and get you and rescue you all by turning the dial back where you won't be in the pre-show or the pre-wrath of the facade of the Great Tribulation any longer, because that is when the 522 journey starts back over again, and all of those dates that you have mocked, those dates will come to pass, showing you when the pre-simulated raptures will be happening. But this time the entire journey is going to be witnessed in the supernatural, and that is because you have completed the spiritual battle, and now we're going into the physical battle. And when the physical battle starts, it is declaring the end times to start, and that physical battle officially starts when the introductory phase starts, and that is when you will see Mandy and G turn on their cameras after G tells his story before he introduces his Eve, talking about their stories of Adam and Eve, partners. And that is when that ark door shuts for the pre-simulated rapture that will come right after I show up in the flesh. Stick around for part 32. So the ark door shuts. It's like the wedding feast, right? The 5 unwise virgins, they came last, and they were like knocking on the door, but they were too late because the door had shut. And that's the wedding feast. And that is the ark, also a figure of the ark, because the people who completed, who were saved and were following Jesus and were completing his will for them, they will be called up as they finish the wineskin process. They will be called up. But when that pre-simulated rapture happens, the people who had Jesus' heart of flesh, they were able to be called up. And they went up. And that's why Jesus said it's important to do the wineskin process, so we can be one with the Father. That wineskin process is getting rid of the darkness and coming into sync with the Father, to where you can actually hear his voice. Because his voice, I kind of imagine it then as a cord that can connect to you like a rope that can pull you up. And that is one of the trumpets that it talks about, or the voice that said, come up here. Because that is God's voice saying, come up here, and that will command your spirit. Because God created with his voice, right? He spoke the world into existence. And when he says, come up here, it will zoom you up to him. But if you haven't completed the wineskin process to where you're not in sync with him, you're not on the same wavelength, you won't connect to that voice frequency that will speak, come up here to his children. So that's why the wineskin process is important, because it is getting rid of that darkness that brings you on a different level from God. I hope that makes sense. All right, I love you guys. God bless you. I know this got pretty long. Sorry. But thank you for listening until the end. I love you guys, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.